Hello guys and welcome back to FPL Fanatics. I'm Alex.
And I'm Joel.
And today, this is team selection for Gameweek 2. We're going to go run through kind of how our teams performed, how our teams are looking for next week, transfers, captaincy. Probably going to be a little bit of a long one. As you can imagine,
there's lots to talk about.
Big talking points, Haaland, Kane. It's a bit of a bandwagon, but you'll find out if we're on it or not. You have to say too.
That's the main discussion point in it is the big guy in blue.
The big guy in blue.
How scary he looks.
How I wish we were talking about Marcus Rashford, how he banged in a hat-trick at the weekend. And then I can make any excuse to get him in my team just so I've got a United player. But that might not happen all season, and let's be honest, it probably won't. How does it feel, though, to have the football back this weekend?
It's fantastic. I mean, I can't believe you just said Rashford and Haaland's name in the same sentence. But yeah, football back. Oh, I love it, man. I've missed it so much. We went to see a Spurs game this weekend, actually, didn't we? That was a lot of fun.
That was very much fun.
4 goals for Spurs, none for Son or Kane, which is unheard of. But yeah, it was a great time. I'm really glad the football's back. Disappointing result for Liverpool, but we move on. We bounce back next week at Anfield. I'm hopeful.
Absolutely. If there's only one thing we've got to say before we kind of end the intro is everyone thinks Emerson Royale is a rubbish football player, and I can confirm that he is. He's not very good. He got 2 assists, but he wasn't the best player on the pitch. And I think everyone who's worried that Perisic didn't start and Doherty, I won't be worrying too much when it comes to next week. I think at least one of them will start. Sessegnon look good, but
yeah. If they don't start next week, it'll be very soon, won't it? He's dying to get Perisic on that pitch.
He absolutely is.
Perisic on the pitch. That's a mouthful.
Perisic on the pitch is quite nice, actually. I quite like it. Anyway, should we get
a new segment for us?
A new Perisic on the pitch. Yeah, is he on? Is he not? Oh, who knows?
Let's find out.
Should we move on to have a look at the how we performed last week then?
Let's take a look.
All right, let's have a look.
Let's go for it.
Right, so my score for the week was 60 points, just above average. However, I do think I've still got a decent team. So if
you're not happy with that score?
Not entirely ecstatic, but I think there's some good performances in there. I think a few players were just a bit unlucky. Ramsdale, 6 points. If he'd have got one more save, he could have easily gone into bonus points. And I think he was a little bit unlucky. He pulled off a few really good saves as well. Trenton Robertson, disappointing, both 1 point each. Trent didn't look as good as Robertson in that game. I thought Robertson and Diaz had a lovely connection on that left-hand side. Robertson put across a couple of times over where it just needed a bit of a touch or a tap in, and he did have a shot himself as well, so he was a bit unlucky. But I'm not like jumping off them or anything like that. I think the first game was just a bit of a blip. Didn't know what to expect from Fulham, and I still think they're a great defense, so they're not going anywhere. But a bit unlucky, I think. Trippier, 7 points. I think he was a great pick. I'm really happy with him. Newcastle look really good. He's on set pieces. He's threatening. He just looks like the main guy at Newcastle. So I'm really happy with him. Cancelo again, 7 points. He got booked and still got 2 bonus points, which is virtually just unheard of, really. It's just a bonus points magnet, and he was literally playing that in like a centre mid role, which what more could you ask for? That's exactly why he's in my team, and he could have easily got a goal. He had a couple of shots as well. Bailey, 2 points. I'd say a little bit disappointing, but at 5 mil, I can't really complain too much. I think it was Villa who was more disappointing, not necessarily Bailey. So let's give him a little bit of time. I think he, with being 5 mil, he's kind of allowed to have a few game weeks where he's not really doing anything. But I think if Villa doesn't kind of pick it up this next game week or anything, then it might be Villa we look to de-invest in rather than Bailey himself. Salah, obviously everyone captained him, 24 points, goal and an assist. His assist, he could have had 2 assists for Darwin Núñez. Both exactly the same goal, really. A little back flick from Núñez. Salah's goal was a little bit lucky because I think Núñez miskicked it and it just fell right to Salah. But you're not going to complain at that. And I think everyone had Salah captain, so I haven't really benefited from it. But to say that half my points came from him just means that, there were some disappointments in the team. Neto, 2 points. Wolves, again, didn't look like great. I thought they might have the edge over Leeds, but it looked like Leeds did really well. I know Podence scored, but Neto actually had a higher XGI than Podence. So Neto was like whipping the balls and getting in the right places. He was just a bit unlucky. So I'm fairly happy with him at 5.5.
Definitely, it was a weird goal as well that Podence scored. I don't think he meant to kick it how he did. It like kind of bounced off the ground and then went in. It was strange, but I think Neto is still the better pick there.
No, I absolutely agree. It'd be interesting to see when it comes to penalties what happens there with Jimenez not there. But because if that goes to Podence, then might be a bit of a switcheroo. But moving on to Saka, 6 points. He got the assist for the own goal. If that had been on target, that would have easily been his goal, and then it could have been straight into bonus. So I'm not complaining about him. Arsenal looked great. I thought Arsenal looked really, really good. And I thought they were going to struggle against Palace, just being, kind of a bit of a derby game. They've always struggled in the past. No, I'm really happy with him. I am a bit gutted that I didn't have Martinelli, obviously. But I'll let you kind of talk about him because that is one of the regrets I have, but we can talk about later. Moving on to Harry Kane, 2 points. Really, really quiet game. We went to watch the game, didn't we, Joel, at the weekend?
We did.
It 4 goals.
Really, really good.
It was very good. Just a bit surprising that he didn't get involved when they scored 4. He only made he had a shot towards the end of the game, and he made one lovely pass to Emerson Royale, and that was about it, really. So you could say unlucky, but really it was very, very quiet. So really disappointing compared to his previous performance against Southampton. But nevertheless, it wasn't just me who was in that boat. Quite a few of us were. Quite a few of the active community was on Kane, so there's not much you can do about that. Then we've got Jesus on 2 points. I think he had a really good game. I just don't think he just didn't able to convert it into anything, but I still think he's a really good player, and investing in an Arsenal team, so I've tripled up on Arsenal. I'm really happy with tripling up on Arsenal even going forward. I thought Palace was probably one of their trickier fixtures. The fact that they managed to, win that game quite convincingly as well. They didn't score that many, but they still won it quite convincingly. I'm fairly happy. And if you look at my bench, the only swap I could have done really was to take out one of the Liverpool defenders for Dunk, and why I was never going to do that. So It's just unlucky, really. But everyone else, kind of the decisions were right. But Pereira, though, did look good for Fulham, I must say. And he's on everything, corners, free kicks. So he's a great little option to have on there. But I'm not too disappointed with the team. 60 points is decent. Don't have to look about, obviously, your overall rank right now. It means nothing right now. I think a couple of key misses or a couple of key decisions that I made. So in my early team selection, I had Zinchenko, but I had him benched. So I'd have probably been more annoyed about that than if I actually had him on the team, because he'd have just been 12 points. I'd have been fuming. Martinelli, he scored but didn't get onto the bonus, so therefore he tells me that it wasn't. He got a little bit lucky. Not lucky as in the goal, but there was other players who was clearly making more passes and being involved more, like Zinchenko. Like Salah as well. I think he had a really good game, and Ramsdale as well. So I think they were all kind of fighting for that bonus points, but he got the goal, and he could have got another one early on as well, I know. So it could have been a haul, but they're the only two kind of regrets I have, as well as obviously Haaland. But we'll talk about him when it comes to transfer plans.
Yeah, lots to say on him. Right, moving on to my team. I scored 68 points. Not an ideal start, but not the worst either. It's game week 1. It doesn't really matter too much, does it? I was quite happy with my team overall. It was just missing that one player who plays in blue that we'll talk about later, I'm sure. But yeah, just quickly run through my team. I'll just skim over some players because I think we've got a lot of the same players. Ramsdale, same as you, very happy with. Arsenal looks good. Arsenal defence looks good. Trippier with 7. Again, it looks great for Newcastle. He's very attacking. James with 7 points. Same as Cancelo. He got booked, but he still got 2 bonus. I I think he put in 17 crosses as well. So even though Chelsea don't look great, I think he's still very attacking and he's going to play on that left wing back role. He's a keep for me, 6 million easy. Walker with 6, cheapest way into the City defence. I'm very happy I went with him because I think he is going to start every game, at the moment anyway. Trent with 1. What are you going to do? Everyone has their off days. You just wait till next week. He'll come back firing, don't worry about him. Salah, 24, very happy with him. He's the best player in the game. He's going to be my captain most weeks, I reckon. Martinelli with 8, yeah. I'm very happy I bought him. He wasn't in my earlier drafts, but thank God I put him in because for 6 million, I think he's such great value. He was getting forward. Yeah. He looks great. Those front four for Arsenal, especially in the first half, I thought were brilliant. Connected really well.
Best 6 million in the game, do you think?
Oh, definitely. Who else is there?
Yeah. That's the question. Who else is there?
Yeah. Best up to 8 million, I think. It's better than Rashford, better than Grealish. Yeah, easy for me. Mount only got 3. Quite disappointing. Got subbed off in 65th minute as well. Again, Chelsea didn't look really convincing, especially against a weak Everton side. You thought they'd do more, but we'll wait and see how he performs and how Chelsea do over the season. Diaz, only 2 points, but I think he was probably Liverpool's best player, especially in the first half. He was getting forward a lot. He was shooting a lot. He had a shot which almost went in, just went wide. Oh, he hit the post, didn't he? Hit the post, did Diaz?
He did it the post. He also scored when it was offside, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, unlucky not to get anything there. I'm happy to keep him. Jesus with 2, like you said, he looked great. I'm not worried about him. He didn't get anything this game, but he looked, especially in the first half, looked like a world-class player to me. And then Harry Kane with 2. 4 goals by Spurs. It's so unbelievably rare that Kane or Son wouldn't score any of those goals. Like, when was the last time we saw that? It's just, I think it's a bit unlucky there. But overall, like I said, quite happy with 68, considering I didn't have Haaland. If I did have Haaland, I'd be much happier, but you live and you learn. It was a 50-50 call. At the moment, I've got it wrong, but we'll see what happens next week.
Just adding on to that, Luis Diaz actually had a 0.2 XGI, which I don't think reflects the game that he had.
0.2?
Yeah, I think the chances that he had was not deemed as like high scoring. So the shot that hit the post, was just a great shot, but a really like tight angle.
Yeah, I suppose it wasn't an easy opportunity, was it? But no, that makes sense, I suppose. But for the eye test, for me, I think he looks really good.
No, I was hiding a little bit when he was, because he could have scored. Although if he scored that offside goal, Robertson would have got the assist if that obviously counted. But so it might have been a different story. But absolutely, he's a great player.
Would have been a win-win. Win for you, win for me if that went in.
That's the way we like it. Right then, should we have a look at how my team is set up for next game week currently?
Let's have a look. Yeah, go for it.
Lovely. Right, so currently I've got Ramsdale in net and he's got Leicester at home. I think that's a good fixture, especially how Arsenal played last game week. I think Leicester had a little bit of a meltdown with their game against Brentford. I thought Ward was going to get a clean sheet, and obviously he was on my bench. I was thinking, oh God, I know a lot of people's done the double up with Leicester goalkeepers. I was like, I could do with him not keeping a clean sheet, because that's what FPL does to you. It makes you very, very selfish. But I think Arsenal's really tightened up at the back, and I really do like Zinchenko, and I think he adds a little bit of a different element. So I think Ramsdale's got better players in front of him now as well compared to last year. So I'm more than happy to play Ramsdale in net for Leicester at home as well, especially.
Definitely. I think Salah looked great as well. The centre-back who just come back from injury. He looked like he was keeping that back line together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a pivotal season for him as well, because I think he knows that he out of anyone who could get dropped first, it could be him. Even
true.
though I think he's quite a good player, it's just that we know obviously they've got quite a few players who are trying to get in. So
he's fighting for his place, isn't he?
Positions. Absolutely. So that makes him probably a really good player.
Definitely, that's what
he could be a bonus point magnet as well if they keep it low scoring. He could do quite well, and I think he's only 4.5 as well, isn't he?
He is. He's still only 4.5. Yeah, he hasn't risen either. Very good
so
value.
that could be another good shout and a way into the Arsenal defence if he keeps his place. But I'm quite happy with Ramsdale for now. Moving on to right back, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Crystal Palace at home. I expect Liverpool to bounce back. Klopp was not a happy man. And to be honest, I thought he had a very quiet game. I think he had an XGI of 0.09, which is not a lot. With Trent's balls in the box as well, you always expect kind of something or someone's getting the end of something, but it didn't seem to quite happen against Fulham. But as you said before, he's not going anywhere. He's just not going anywhere. I don't care what the stats tell you on things like that. Trent's one of them players where he does pass the eye test pretty much every time. But Fulham played well.
How many game weeks would Trent have to blank in a row for you to sell him, do you reckon? Would you ever sell him? Or would you just have blind faith that he's going to come back at some point?
I think,
sorry, my voice.
Even if he had 6 blanks in a row, I still think if I'd sell him, he'd get an absolute haul. So
just because you sold him.
Just because I sold him, absolutely. It's all about me. Exactly, I'm being selfish again. No, I think he's not going anywhere. I think they will pick it up. At Palace at home as well. First game at Anfield, I think there'll be a bit of a buzz.
100%.
Was obviously away at Fulham was the first game, and newly promoted team, you didn't know what you were going to get. And I think Crystal Palace, they know a little bit more. How they play. So I'm probably expecting a clean sheet here. I don't know why, because I think Palace could score, but I think they want that clean sheet. I think they're going to need it based on that performance. And I think I'll lead on to Robertson as well, because obviously Robertson's going to play if I'm playing Trent. As we said before, Robertson was he's very, very attacking in that first game. Again, the stats don't necessarily show that. So he had a low XGI than Trent. But he was just literally at the edge of the box. So we was watching that game as well, wasn't we? It was literally on the edge of the box, and I was just thinking, that's where Robertson is. That is crazy. He could easily get something here. He whipped a ball across. He got offside for the Diaz goal. He could have easily again had an assist or even a goal to his name. I think one of the shots that he had was pretty poor, but
to be honest, I don't think he had a great game. I don't think anyone on the Liverpool team had a great game, to be honest. But you're right. He was so far forward. He was in the box so much. He was like level with Diaz at times, wasn't he? For a lot of the first half. Yeah,
absolutely.
He's still a great player. He's gonna do you well. Positionally,
yeah. If you look at that and how far forward it was, if you think about your teams who are a little bit weaker at the back, like again Fulham, I think everyone expected them to be a little bit weaker than what they came out with. So I think that was just a bit of a shock factor. I just don't think Klopp will let that happen, especially at a team like Palace, where you know what you're probably going to get. And I think you know what you're going to get with Trent and Robbo again. Both going to be quite high, easily could convert assists. So they're definitely in, and they will probably always be in as long as I have them. Why would you bench one of them, really? It's not
you
can't.
Yeah.
You can't happen now. Moving on to next player. So Kieran Trippier had a great game. He played very well. The only thing that scares me about this, and they've got Brighton away, is Brighton looked really good against Man United. The fact that Pascal Gross scored twice is not a player you'd expect. I think he scored twice from like a really, really low XG. He just got unbelievable chances that he couldn't miss, basically. So I'm not worried about it from that point of view, but I also think they could frustrate Newcastle. So therefore, if it was a 0-0, will Trippier still, getting the bonus points kind of thing? Because I've got Lewis Dunk in the team as well, and Brighton are at home, so I'm very torn between them two. And who to play, if I'm honest. I just think Trippier is on every single set. Well, he's on corners and free kicks, most of them. and I'm a bit scared that if I didn't and I benched him, that it would punish me. So the minute he's in the team. But Brighton do look good, but so do Newcastle. So I don't know if that cancels each other out. That's what I'm kind of thinking.
I think Trippier's the right call there. And I think, Brighton did look good. But what I will say is that Man United really helped them to look good, because Man United were awful.
All right, we'll have less of that.
No.
We'll have less of that.
You can't say you played well.
No. We didn't play great. I think we looked a bit shaky. I thought Martinez looked very shaky as well. He got booked for no real reason. He didn't need to get booked, and he was making some rash decisions. And I was thinking, low key, is this another Harry Maguire 2.0? And I was a bit scared. I think when Ronaldo come on, we actually looked better, which goes against everything that I think I should be saying. But again, I don't know if that's just because he came on. We had nothing to really lose at that point, so he might as well come on and just kind of go a little bit crazy. And he and he did play well, and we did play better when he came on. So they need to work that out, because Ronaldo is not the kind of person who's going to stay on the bench either. So I don't want him to upset the dressing room. But we lost. We deserve to lose. We'll just see. We'll have to see what next game brings. But let's not talk about Man United, because we could be here for a while. We'll move on.
It is fun though.
It's fun for some people. Not for me. We'll move on to Jack Cancelo, Bournemouth at home. Bournemouth played really, really well. I'm quite surprised how well they played in their last game, but Man City's just got too much for them. There's just no way. I can't see anything other than a win. I could probably see them potentially scoring, but that's only because I think Man City might play so high that they could leave themselves vulnerable for a counter attack. But I think that could be the case for literally nearly every team in the league, because they've all got that kind of potential to be able to do that. But Cancelo again pretty much playing in centre midfield against Bournemouth at home. It's a no-brainer. I don't need to say any more.
He's almost a captain shout, isn't he?
Oh, it's a great captain shout, I think. If you wanted to go against the grain,
totally.
The only thing is, if you captain him and then they let a goal in, a stupid goal, that's where it just kills you. And that's what it's one of them things where you have to convince yourself that you don't have to think about the clean sheet, you think about his potential attacking returns. But
it's always trickier captain defenders, isn't it? So you just desperately hoping they don't concede. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Moving on to the midfield then. So we'll start with Leon Bailey. So Leon Bailey, his first 3 fixtures that I had is probably the main reason that I brought him in. Obviously, I didn't expect the result against Bournemouth. Didn't see that come in. But I don't think that was a Bailey situation, or a Bailey issue, should I say. It was more Villa. Villa just didn't look quite on it. So I don't know whether that's just the way they're set up or anything like that. But it wasn't necessarily Bailey. I think Bailey looked all right, to be honest. And he does have that kind of potential just to score a worldie out of nowhere anyway. But that's not... For 5 million, I'm not too... Like I said before, I'm not too worried about him. He's a guy that I will probably start most weeks until maybe I transfer him out. But it all depends on kind of what the transfers would be. But I think for 5 mil, he has the potential... He's the only 5 mil player I can think that has the potential to score a hat-trick.
True.
Very easily.
But I'd just be worried about Villa, man. They look terrible.
Yeah. Oh, that's the caveat. It's not me not investing in Bailey. It's me not investing in Villa is the issue. We'll just have to see how this game goes, because Everton at home. I know Chelsea won them 1-0, but Everton, even though we're out of striker, they still managing to. They probably should have scored, if I'm completely honest. Or they should have done something.
Totally. Yeah, should have done.
So I think they're still leaky at the back, and obviously they had better Godfrey Goff injured. I think it's not as serious as they thought, but clearly they're still kind of finding themselves again a little bit at the back. So I think Villa could get at them. It's just how they set up, and they just need They need to get their system going. But for 5 mil, I'm not too worried right now. We'll have a look at him next week, and I'll let you know if I'm worried about him anymore. Moving on to Salah. Not again. We'll say this every week. Not much to say about Salah. He got a goal and an assist from a XGI of 0.58. So he got kind of lucky, kind of overperformed. Kind of stole one off Nunes a little bit, but I think it was just Nunes' touch that kind of just led it into Salah's feet. But we'll absolutely take it, and he's not going anywhere from my team. I'm pretty sure before when he faced Palace as well, he was benched, and then he come on and scored 2 goals and got an assist. So I'm expecting more of the same. Obviously, it's a different Palace team compared to then, but Liverpool's got that potential to destroy any team, let alone a well-drilled team. Moving on to Neto. Obviously, at the time, with Neto and Podence being like the 2 viable options from Wolves at the same price, I kind of regret not going for Podence, but that's only because he scored. Looking at the stats, Neto got the 4th most crosses in the whole of the first game week. So clearly he was he's looking for people. He's trying to set over people, not just going for goal himself. He actually had a better XGI than Podence, even though Podence scored. So clearly Neto was a little bit unlucky. I think you said a stat to me earlier, Joel, about Wolves had one of the best expected goals of the whole week.
I think they were the best team, weren't they, for XGI this week, I believe.
Yeah.
Which sounds mad. Because they didn't play that well either. I didn't think. Neto to me looks like the best player, but it was that stat seems unreal to me.
It's all based around the kind of chances as well. So the only thing you can think of is that maybe they should have buried some of the chances that they had, which means it could have easily, especially if you think about Neto putting the 4th most crosses in, they could have easily turned into something, and maybe they should have done based on the stats.
Yeah,
the stats give me a bit more confidence as well. To be fair, for 5.5 in Neto,
totally.
So I will take that. But I agree with you. It's not. It didn't look like they created the most in goal moment of the week, but we'll take it.
Yeah, I think he's a good hold. I think he was the best player, but Leeds should have scored more as well, because they should have had a penalty when Salah clocked, I can't remember who it was, the Leeds player in the face. That should have been a penalty. And then I think there was another chance that Leeds should have scored, and Salah made an unreal save. So it seems mad to me that they were the best expected goal involvement out of any team. But it is what it is.
It is what it is, and Salah's a great keeper as well. I think he single-handedly saved them from quite a few goals last season. So he's another great pick, I think. Even though obviously they've conceded 2, it could, like you said, they should have scored more, so it could have been a lot worse. We move on to Saka then. So Saka's got Leicester at home. Again, I know Martinelli scored, but Saka got the assist, and like I said, he could have easily, if that had been on target, it could have got in. It would have been a different story, and he probably would have been in the bonus as well if he had done that. 0.37 XGI. He actually underperformed his XGI delta as well, so they were expecting to perform a little bit better. I think that could have come from the fact that the goal or the shot that he had probably was quite a good opportunity, but he decided to whip it in the box, and it kind of rebounded off whoever the defender was that went in. But I don't think he's going to. I think he's probably one of the best 8 mil midfielders out there, along with probably at the minute Kulusevski. It was between him and Mount, for a while for me, but I just wasn't convinced by Chelsea before, and after the Everton game, I'm still not convinced by them. So I think, in theory, it was the better pick. In points, it was the better pick as well. And Arsenal's got a nice run, and again, that front 3, that front 4, worked really nicely together. So I'm quite happy with him and holding him for now. And if he is on penalties, that's going to be great. And I think once we know that, I think more and more people could own him or potentially switch. Because if you can get an 8 million midfielder on penalties, it's same with Neto. If Neto's on penalties, people are going to flock to them, especially if they get one.
Do you think he is on penalties, or do you think it's whoever wins it takes it?
So last season when Martinelli won the penalty and he took it, I don't know if that was because he like you said, he won it, so he takes it, or if it's just because it was pretty much the last game of the season. let him have a go out and bounce. Like it wasn't necessary, if that makes sense. Because I think Tottenham was already winning Norwich at that point, so 4th place was out of reach. So I don't know if that was the case. I have no idea, but it'd be great if he was.
Yeah, we really need Arteta to tell us, don't we? Come on, Arteta.
Well, yeah, we need them. We'd love to know who takes penalties for most teams at the minute, because it certainly won't be Jesus, because his conversions are horrific. Apparently,
he's poor, isn't he? Yeah.
So I don't think of him. But that's a nice transition, that, Joe. I like that. Gabriel Jesus is my next pick, and my next selection. Leicester at home again. I think Leicester are still quite vulnerable at back. Look how Brentford managed to expose them, even without the likes of Christian Eriksen, that key creator in that role. They still managed to expose them, so I still think there is ways to get at Leicester, and I think, Danny Ward is no Schmeichel. I think they're going to miss Schmeichel massively with big saves and just being that presence and that kind of that experience that he's got. So I think Leicester are to be had. If Fofana leaves as well to Chelsea, that's not great. I know Pereira's out for 6 months, and he's a great wing back, but they've obviously got James Justin and Castagna. But I think they've still got a bit. I think if Fofana does leave, that Johnny Evans, he's getting on a little bit. Soyuncu's kind of not been in favour. I think Arsenal could have it could be a goal fest here. I think both ways. I think Ramsdale's good enough keeper to make some saves, but I can also see Leicester scoring absolutely. But he's definitely not going anywhere. He's definitely staying. And then we'll move on. At the minute, Harry Kane. So obviously Harry Kane's got Chelsea, and it's away this time. So obviously, as we said before, we went to watch Tottenham versus Southampton. He was very quiet. I can almost guarantee that he could potentially do something against Chelsea, especially with how vulnerable they are at the back. And if they get a penalty, then it's a bit of a different situation. But yeah, he hardly did anything against Southampton, so I'm a bit concerned about him.
He didn't look that involved, did he? Yeah.
No.
But he is a big game player against Chelsea. You can definitely see him getting something there.
Absolutely, and the only caveat to Kane not performing that well last week was Haaland performed ridiculously well. So that was the main kind of bummer, if you like, in terms of the 50-50 split. One did really well, one did not so well. Son looked great though, even though the stats might not necessarily say that. He's so good when you watch him in real life. Little step overs, that kind of touch. He's a great player, and I would love him again, but 12 mil is kind of excessive. But I think Kane could get something against Chelsea, so he's in my team currently. And if we move to the bench, Danny Ward, obviously we know that he started the last game, so maybe will he keep his place? No idea. After letting in 2 goals towards the latter end of the game, is that a case where they might switch him out now? I have no idea. It's left to be seen. But either way, I'm going to start Ramsdale. Lewis Dunk's on the bench, and that's the toss-up I've got between who to play between Trippier and Dunk. I think Trippier makes sense. It's just away, so that makes it a little bit tougher. And he's the only player in my starting 11 who's actually playing away. Everyone's playing at home as well, so I quite like that. Whereas the reverse, I had everyone pretty much playing away. So this week, theoretically, should be a little bit better, in front of the home crowd, because that's just a natural kind of advantage. But that's why I was kind of thinking about Lewis Dunk, because it's Brighton's first game in front of the crowd as well. They obviously they must be on a high from that beating United in the last 2 games, won 4-0 last season, and obviously beat us again this weekend. And Dunk's got goal threat, but I know Newcastle are quite good defensively now, so I'm probably going to stick to that way. But he's a good first sub to have, absolutely. Andreas Pereira, said about him, he's pretty much on everything. So I think he's a great, even a first choice sub. He's a great first choice sub if that's who you have. And he might come into fruition when Fulham's fixtures change. But for now, away at Wolves, I'm going to favour the likes of Neto and Bailey at the minute. Who's both got home fixtures. And then Archer, lastly, he actually came on for a point, so at least all my subs actually played. So that's a really good.
That's a good sign.
Caveat. Yeah, it's a good sign for me. So I'm really happy with that.
Big 8 minutes. Yeah.
But 8 minutes, but I'll take that because if it does end up going to third choice and he gets a point, it's better than 0, right?
Of course, yeah, definitely.
But that's my team for now. We'll discuss transfers later. So shall we have a look at what transfer I'm looking at then? Because I think
I can guess.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going. I was planning not to make a transfer if at all possible. But let's be honest. The most obvious move for me to make is Kane to Haaland. I know I've talked about that Kane could do bits against Chelsea, and I really think he can. I absolutely have no doubt about that. But the thing that swayed me to this is that Haaland had an XGI of 1.74, and he clearly outperformed everyone else, including the likes of Mitrovic and Gross, who both bagged 2 goals as well. He looked class. His acceleration is
so
ridiculous.
Scary, man. He's so scary.
He's very scary.
It.
No, I don't like it either. This lad could, he could rival. He could definitely rival Salah when it comes to kind of like goals and breaking records and stuff. He can absolutely do that, and he's so young as well. But the main reason as well. So I've actually already made this transfer. And the main reason being is Kane was going down, Haaland was going up. I had no money in the bank, so I had to make this decision quite quickly. So
I don't blame you.
It's kind of less of a talking point, really. It's more of me like saying, well, I've already done it, but the reasons as to why I've done it is kind of what I've just said. I absolutely still think Kane is a great option, and if Haaland wouldn't have got anything, I'd have stayed on Kane, and I've probably stayed on Kane for a number of weeks because his fixtures look good again after Chelsea. But the fact that Haaland came in, got 2 goals straight away and looked as good as he did, I think it's just scary to go without him than Kane. I think it's already the most popular transfer, but it's for good reason.
It is for good reason. I think you do right, yeah.
And to be honest, no other thoughts came into my head apart from that one. I'm really happy with the rest of the team for now. Like I said, Neto and Bailey can have a bit more time. I've got a nice first sub as well in case one of them play. I feel like that was the only weak point in my team. And it's not even FOMO. It's more Haaland looked so good. I didn't know if he was going to take a bit of time to warm up, but he did not need that time to warm up. And his pace is scary. His finishing is scary. If he's on penalties, scary. I had to have him, and I've had to do it, and he's already done.
Yeah, he's a big old speedy scary man, and he worries me. And we'll talk about my team in just a minute, but yeah, I think it's the right transfer to do. It's the one everyone's done, so it makes sense. But I will say, in Kane's defence, if you look at the fixtures, all right, he's got Chelsea next, and Haaland's got Bournemouth, sure. Game week 3, Kane's got Wolves, and game week 4, Kane's got Forest. Mm-hmm. Whereas Haaland, game week 3, he's got Newcastle, and then game week 4, Crystal Palace. They're tougher fixtures. I'm just trying to find an excuse.
Yeah, you need to
not to get Haaland. Yeah, but
you do what you need to, mate. You do what you need to.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great shout. I don't blame you for doing the transfer early.
Had to be done. Right then, so moving on to captain's of choice, and I won't lie to you, Joel. Before I looked at this team selection, before the game week kicked off, I was already convinced I was going to captain Salah second game week. Now,
really?
I am 60-40, 60% on Haaland. And the main reason being, I think Haaland, he's got an appetite already. He's got the 2 goals. He looked great. He's hungry, right? Don't get me wrong. If I didn't have Haaland, it'd be on Salah every day, all day. But I also think I captained Salah last year on game week 2, and he blanked, and I can never forget that. But with Haaland being here and on fire, I'm very tempted. The only caveat to that is I just think, like I said, what we said earlier, like it could be a Kane and Haaland switch around this time. So Kane could do really well and Haaland blank. And I'm like, Salah's consistent. Looking at the stats earlier, he shouldn't have got a goal, but he did. He got a goal and an assist. he can turn that around with Haaland. If they don't feed him anything, I'm not sure he's as good a player as Salah in that way to make something for himself, if that makes sense. I think he needs the team to play well. So if the team don't perform well, or don't feed him, or don't, they don't see them runs that he's making, and Kevin De Bruyne don't make that, that through ball that he did for that second goal, then it could be a different story. Having said that, they're against Bournemouth, and I don't think Bournemouth ever really performed well against City. And with the addition of Haaland, I can't see that being anything but a massacre, if I'm completely honest with you. But I could also say that for Liverpool and Palace with that 7-2 performance that they had, they can absolutely score goals against them. But I just think I'm kind of riding the bandwagon of Haaland at the minute, and I'm excited. I'm more excited to captain him as well over Salah, because Salah's reliable, which is great, and he's a safe pick. And I think most people will probably go Salah. But I think Haaland excites me, and I think if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it against Bournemouth at home.
Yeah. I don't think most people will go Salah. I think Haaland will be the most captain this week.
Do you think so?
He's already over 50% owned. I think
wow.
Salah's like 62 maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, it might be close, but a lot of the people who have Salah also have Haaland. I think most people who have the two gonna go for Haaland because it's Bournemouth at home.
Yeah.
And because it's City, like I think it'll be a cakewalk. If I had Haaland and Salah, I'd be going Haaland, I think.
Yeah, I mean Salah is my vice captain, I should say. I was tempted to go Cancelo because I agree with you. I think it would be, they've got a 74% chance of cleaning a clean sheet, which is ridiculous. But you never underestimate Salah. That's just rule number one, right? But Haaland's exciting, and I actually can watch the game and not be in fear. I can still watch Liverpool as well, but still be happy because I've got Salah and Robbo and Trent in my team. So that I feel like that also justifies me going Bournemouth a little bit, because if Salah does bang and they keep a clean sheet, I've got that double Liverpool defence. So I think it could help. And let's be honest, Robbo and Trent could both provide assists for any of them goals. So I feel like that also justifies it a little bit more to me. I'm just convincing myself, to be honest. But I don't think I need that much convincing when I really. I think I'm going to go Haaland.
Yeah, I won't overthink it. I think you'd make the right decision.
Yeah. Well, we'll see next week.
We'll see. Okay, then on to my team for game week 2. Here we go. Right, okay.
That's new.
I've got. I'm pumped, man. I'm excited. Good. I've got Ramsdale in goal, same as you. Leicester at home. Leicester can score anytime, especially with Vardy in the side. But Arsenal's defence does look pretty good, and I'm not going to play Ward against Arsenal, no way. Yeah. So yeah, he's a keep for me, Ramsdale. I'm really happy that I ended up with him actually on my draft.
Yeah, me too.
I'll go Trippier next. Brighton away. For me, for your team, I'd definitely play Trippier over Dunk. I think he's just got so much more attacking potential, and I think Newcastle slightly edges Brighton in terms of a defensive side. It's like they built St James's Park into a bit of a fortress now. It's kind of mad how good they look in this short amount of time. So it could be they're both great defensive sides. It could easily be a 0-0 game this, but I'll take that with Trippier in my side 100%.
Yeah, sounds good.
James next, Reece James against Tottenham at home. Tricky fixture. To be honest, I don't see a clean sheet. But you can always get something. James, we were talking about in his last video how explosive him and Chilwell can be. Chilwell got an assist last game.
Yeah.
Due to a penalty, but he can pop off at any time, Reece James, can't he? I'm just not too sure about the clean sheet.
Will he start again? Do you think there's any worries about rotation? Because I think the comments that Tuchel made said something like they had to play Reece James and Chilwell because of the ongoing problems with Azpilicueta and Alonso and stuff with the transfers. They said he didn't want to play them. He had to. So that's not great comments from him. I think more so Chilwell, but he definitely said James is not fully fit as well. So I don't think he would rest him in this game, but I'm just like basically his comments. It's not great to hear.
No, that's the thing though. It's James's first choice when he's available.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And in a big game like this, I think he's got to pick him.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other choice really. I'm not too worried. Then I've got Kyle Walker, Bournemouth at home. Like I said, I'm really happy with Walker. He's such a cheap way into that City defence. Sorry. The only regret I kind of have is not going double City defence. I should have probably switched my team around a bit, and I should have probably gone Cancelo. But, one's good enough for me. I'm very happy. Bournemouth at home, I think it's a definite clean sheet. There's no way Bournemouth's scoring there, I don't think.
Well, it could be surprising.
It's City defence, man.
I know, but you never know.
It's as close to as a lock of a clean sheet as you can get, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I saw some stats earlier about clean sheet potential, and it was like 74% clean sheets for, which is ridiculous. Yeah, because I don't like even I think Liverpool and Fulham they were expected a clean sheet, but that was only about 60%. So this is 74, which is that's a lot of a difference. So yeah, you are correct. I'm just thinking any team could always score against City, and the fact that
you're trying to worry me.
No, I've got Cancelo.
Why are you trying to worry me?
I'm just I was making you think.
Yeah. Right. Then Trent at home to Palace. Yeah, Liverpool are bouncing back, like you said. I think after a performance like that, it's almost good to get out of the way, because Klopp said after the game, we cannot have another game like that, and that's what you want to hear. Like, I don't know what it was. Apparently, I think he said that the spirit just wasn't there. Like the mood was wrong. I'm not sure what the problem was, but getting it out of the way early, moving on to Palace at home at Anfield.
Yeah,
I'm confident. I'm confident again.
Yeah.
We'll bounce back.
I agree.
And same with Salah. Same goes to Salah. Salah's record against Palace in the last he's returned in the last 7 games that they've played against Palace. Salah has.
Really?
Which is kind of unbelievable. So I like I said, I'm not worried. I'm very happy to have them both.
Do you want me to?
And same.
Do you want me to counter that a little bit? I saw something earlier, and I do remember this quite vividly. There is a stat going around about Salah not performing in game week 2 of the season. He didn't.
I did
last year.
I did see that.
Last year, I think he didn't blank in like 19 games, and the only game he blanked was game week 2, and that was against Watford. I think it might have been quite an easy game as well. I don't think it was like a game, but I think he's done it a couple of seasons before as well. I know that's obviously it's a myth.
He's never scored in game week 2.
Yeah, that's it. So
since he's joined for Liverpool, he's never scored in game week 2.
So do you think that against his Palace record, which is going to break?
No.
Which is going to break?
No, it means nothing. The game week 2 thing means absolutely nothing. It's just a stat people like to pull up. To
it's
people.
Great. It's a great stat. It's a fascinating stat though, because I'd have never guessed that beforehand.
No, it is. It's a weird one, but I think it's just coincidence.
No, yeah,
nothing more.
Fair enough.
And Luis Diaz, same points go for him as Trent and Salah. I think he'll be involved with the goals at some point. He looks attacking. I'm very happy to keep him. Same goes for Martinelli as well. I'm very happy to keep him. 6 million. Leicester at home. Leicester are shaky. If Leicester keep a clean sheet, it's always a surprise, no matter who they're playing. And against this Arsenal side that looked that good last week, I think it might be a goal fest, this one.
Yeah, I agree.
Him and Jesus. Mm-hmm. Then Mason Mount. Like I said, Chelsea didn't look good. Mount didn't look good. Got subbed off. Tottenham at home. Tricky. The one thing I will say is that Spurs' record against Chelsea in recent years is really poor. Like Chelsea, I'm not sure the exact stat, but Chelsea have won the majority of the last 10 games. Like vast majority. I think I'm not sure if Spurs have won any. But it's just Chelsea's attack just looks a bit toothless. That's my worry.
Yeah.
And Mount could be on the chopping block for me, but at the moment, I think I'm willing to give him another week simply because there's no one else I really fancy transferring him out for. But we'll talk about my transfers in a little bit.
Yep.
Up top, Jesus. Like I said about Martinelli, I think it could be a goal fest. Not much more to say. He looked so good though. I will say that.
It did look great.
I know he didn't get anything, but he's a hold for me at the moment, Jesus. The only way I can see me selling him is for a route to Darwin Núñez, but at the moment, Jesus is a lock. And then I've got Harry Kane up front alongside him. Chelsea away, like I said, a tricky game, but Kane does perform in the big games. I've just got to hope.
Yeah, hope and pray. Hide behind the sofa against City game.
Yeah. Then my bench: Ward, Andreas Pereira, Nico Williams, Plange. I'm not playing any of them. Andreas Pereira's first because I think Wolves away is a good fixture, and like you said, he looked really good when he was playing for Fulham.
He did look very
involved in all the attacks, weren't he?
Absolutely.
He was unlucky not to get any returns really against us.
Did Nico Williams play, by the way? Did he actually? Because I know he got 0 points. Did he actually play? Or did he get carded? Like a yellow card? Or just...
He got a yellow card and they conceded 2 against Newcastle, didn't they? So
right, yeah, that makes sense.
That's why it's on 0.
Yeah.
Right then, in terms of my transfer plans, help. Right, so the elephant in the room here is Haaland, and I've got to admit, quite embarrassingly, I was going to make the Kane to Haaland switch before the price changes, but I accidentally fell asleep at 7:30. By the time I woke up, the price change had already happened. I was priced out, and now I'm stuck.
It's your own laziness. That's gone against you.
I was tired, man. It's fine. It's fine though, right? It's fine. We can work through this. So, basically, I've got 3 options. I can either roll a transfer and stick with Kane, or I can downgrade a player, which would be, for me, either Trippier or Mason Mount. They're the only 2 in my team that I can see that are on the chopping block. All the others I'm really happy with. And I'm happy with those 2 as well. And this is the thing, like, I really want Haaland. He really scares me. I don't know if I'm going to go for him this week. I don't know if I'm going to get him. Because I'd have to take a -4.
Yeah.
I'd have to downgrade Trippier to a 4.5 defender. And I just think, who would I go for? Who's a good 4.5? Like, Dunk maybe, like you said, but I'd rather have Trippier. Dallo at United looks attacking, but United defence, no. I don't want to touch it. A Leicester attacking defender maybe, Castagna, James Justin, they could get something, but they're all just a bit iffy, and none of them are convincing me as much as Trippier is. So I don't really want to do that. And then Mason Mount's the other one, because he didn't look great. Chelsea don't look great. He got subbed off. But again, who do I go for? It'd have to be below the 8 million mark. So what? Grealish maybe, but I don't really like Grealish as a pick. He's never really appealed to me. Gundogan maybe. Bernardo Silva might be leaving, so he could actually become an option at C. But I think it's too early to tell and too much of a risk at this point. And then you're going down to like 5.5 millions. Neto, not the worst, but I'd rather have Mason Mount. Or like Aronson at Leeds looked great. He could be an option, but I think it's too soon to tell at the moment. And I don't want to get rid of Mount. So this is the predicament I'm in. For me to get Haaland, I'd have to take a -4 and get rid of a player that I don't want to get rid of and bring in a player that I don't really want to bring in.
Right.
And
I get you.
so for me, I think at this point, I'm going to stick with Kane, and I'm going to roll the transfer, and I'm just going to hope for the best. And then next week, I can go into game week 3 with 2 free transfers, reevaluate my options then. If Haaland,
if only Kane and Haaland were together, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Wow, what a beast he'd be.
What a beast. He'd have the passing and oh god, yeah.
Yeah. So if Haaland gets a hat trick, which he could very well do, and Kane does nothing again, I could make the switch, and I could force myself to do it because I'd have 2 free transfers. I've got to do something anyway.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah.
Do you want me to throw some names at you?
Go on, throw some at me. Yeah, go for it.
Because I agree with you. I wouldn't want to get rid of Trippier. I obviously got in my team, so I'm slightly biased there. But he also looked great, and we both know he's a great player. The only option I can think is when you talked about downgrading, you could go for another Newcastle defender to cover that, but like someone like Botman at 4.5. So you could cover that Trippier.
Yeah. That's the other option.
Kind of clean sheets. Yeah. And I think the only reason he didn't start that game is just because he's new. And I think Shah started that game, who obviously got a goal as well. But I think Botman is the first choice. I think they're just easing him in a little bit. So the only caveat to that is you don't know, if he's definitely going to play. But I think once he starts that first game,
he's a risk in himself then, yeah.
Absolutely. But I think a 4.5 mil option, if you get the right one at Newcastle, could be a good shout.
Yeah. No, that's a good shout.
I think Mason Mount, yeah, like you, I think it's hard to judge someone off one game, isn't it? Like I know I've transferred Kane out after one game and transferred Haaland in, but that's purely because it was a 50-50 choice to begin with between the two. It's gone so far wrong, and with the price changes, that's kind of forced my move a little bit, right? But with Mason Mount, yes, he didn't look great. Yes, he only got 60-odd minutes, but he's a consistent player. And he might just tick over with like an assist, but if he did that pretty much like every other game for the season, he'll get 100-odd points, right, in terms of FPL.
Yeah.
But the only player I can think of, because you can't, I'm going to guess you can't really go directly to another 8 mil unless it's, because you can't go Saka because you've got 3 Arsenal. You can't go Diaz because you've already got Diaz. You can't go Kulusevski because at the time of this recording, he's gone up by 0.1. And I don't think you had anything in the bank, right?
Well, I can't go to any 8 million because I wouldn't have enough money to go from Kane to Haaland. So yeah, I'd need to downgrade to 7.5 at the very least.
So and the only couple of players that I can think of in terms of like who performed well, and who could potentially keep that on, Zaha played very, very well. He actually massively underperformed. Basically, he should have got an assist. His expected assist was 0.83, and his expected goals were 0.06. So obviously, you want that to be switched around. But the fact that he did that against that Arsenal team, that shows to me a lot of promise. And he's 7 mil. I know his fixtures are quite tough, but we also know he can perform in the big games at 7 mil. Other option that I can think of is what you said though about Grealish. But Grealish, I thought he looked pretty good. Again, the stats show that he looked pretty good. 0.66 XGI. So he's quite high up on the list compared to all the other players. So them 2 players is an option just based off the first game alone, because that's the only thing we've got to judge it on really. And if you think about, if you did bring Grealish in, potentially you could be covering Haaland points. And I only say potential because he's a different beast. But if he did do well, you've saved 5 mil there, but you could also triple up on City as well next week if you wanted to as well. They're the only 2 though. Apart from that, like you said, I would either keep my transfer. It just depends how you feel about them other players, which if you already said you're not convinced, I think your gut's telling you, and it's telling you to just keep it and unroll it for next week. But they're just some players who are,
So yeah, if I did go for Grealish, I'd get Haaland in this week and I'd take a -4. What I'd say about Zaha, he's playing Liverpool away this week, so immediately for me that's no.
Is that biased though? Is that biased though?
Oh well, no. Come on, you know how good Liverpool are.
Yeah, but look at your league 2 goals last week against Fulham. Maybe Crystal Palace could pounce on that. I'm not saying I don't think they will.
We move on. We move on. And then Grealish, I just don't. No, I'm not convinced by him. No, and also there's always the danger of Pep roulette, right? We don't know for sure that he's going to start. He's I think he probably will, but he's still like a bit of a risk. Mason Mount is like guaranteed start, right? Like
more or less, especially if he's getting subbed at 60 minutes. You think that makes him at least definitely going to start the next game again.
Yeah,
at least.
So like, I'm not like making the argument of, I'm gonna stick with it. I'm not gonna knee jerk or anything, because if I could go back in time and make the transfer, I'm pretty sure that I would. But right now, I think I'm just gonna stick with my mistake and kind of see what happens and see if it is a mistake. And I'm honestly kind of convinced that depending on how this next game week goes, I am tempted to, if Kane does do well, I'm tempted to just keep him for the near future and just kind of risk going without Haaland, which sounds mental, but like I said, Kane's fixtures are better in the short term, and then I could do an early wild card and get Haaland in then, but that's a conversation for next week anyway. I think I'm just gonna try and survive this week and then go from there, really.
Yeah, I think you've obviously been forced to not be able to make that move unless you obviously, like you said, take a -4. But I think it's not optimal to do a -4 the second game week, really.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't
feel right. And let's be honest, just because Kane failed first game and Haaland didn't, it could easily be the reverse this week. And, it could have been the big move that everyone's made could not pay off this week. Just because it worked last week doesn't mean it's going to work this week.
Yeah,
even though the
Kane,
fixtures are,
he's a proven goal scorer, isn't he, Kane?
Absolutely.
We know he's going to do well sooner or later. It's just when. But
just when.
Like, all of these points that I'm saying, I understand that Haaland is the exception to them all because he looked unreal. He's the focal point of the best attack in the league. Like, he's going to get so many goals this season, and it started already. So it is a mistake, and I am scared, but I'm rolling with it, and it's kind of exciting because now Kane's the differential. If he bangs, if he gets a hat trick against Chelsea, which he's not going to do, but yeah, one can dream.
I'm just going to leave. We'll just leave this section on one last thing. Haaland tweeted Shearer and said 258 more. So he's going for that record, mate, and that's scary.
Yeah. I think Shearer tweeted Haaland, didn't he?
It might have been Shearer tweeted Haaland, but that's scary, and I would not like, yeah. That's all I'll say. We'll end it on there.
Yeah, we'll end it there. Okay then, right. Captain pick. I think you can guess on my team. I ain't got Haaland. If I did, I'd be very tempted to go Haaland. But for me, straightforward, it's got to be Salah. Crystal Palace at home at Anfield. Like I said, his record there in the last 7 games that he's played against him, he's bagged in everyone. So, real simple choice for me. That there's no one else in my team who I'd even be tempted by. Salah all the way. I've got my vice captain on Gabriel Jesus at the moment because I think Leicester at home's a great fixture for him, and I think Jesus is going to get a goal sooner rather than later. I think this could be the game where he pops off.
Yeah, I think it's a fairly straightforward choice for you. The only one I might be tempted by in your team would be Jesus as well. So it's interesting you went vice captain on him because I agree with you. He looked great last game, so I think he could be. But Salah, like you said, with them stats, you can't go against the legend, the king. Can you really?
Yeah, no, easy choice.
Yeah. So that was our team selection for game week 2. There is a lot of things that could go well. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. And when I say wrong, I'm thinking more specifically towards your team, Joel, and what could happen.
I was going to say, I think you're in a pretty good position, to be honest. But it's kind of exciting going against the grain. I kind of like it.
It is.
Makes it interesting.
Fantasy is really good when it comes to things like, because when it does work for you, it's very, very good. It's like that kind of, like you've got that holdover over people where you can say, well, I went against the grain because of whatever X, Y, Z reason. The best part about your reason is you fell asleep. So it wasn't actually in your control to make that decision. So, lesson of life, don't ever fall asleep when price
Next time, I'll set an alarm. I'll make sure I set an alarm.
So if you do well, though, it's actually not off your own mind. You've done it because you were that tired.
No, I'm not having that.
Are you going to tell you're going to tell us all that you're a genius and you said I believed in Harry Kane all along and not because you fell asleep?
That's my argument.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
If Harry Kane does well, I'm going to go back and cut all the bit out.
Cut everything out.
About me sleeping.
Yeah. If he talks about a player and the name's not in there, you just cut it off. That's it. You just completely cut it out. No, exciting though. We're going to have a few things on our socials as well, talking about. Getting involved in a bit more stats as well. So we're going to look at like the performances of over the weekend. We're going to have our own little watch list as well. So it might be players that we'll mention within here when we talk about transfers. But it's just players who Joel's got an eye on and who I've got an eye on. They might not necessarily be like stat machines, but it's just players who's caught our interest. And it, again, like Joel's gone against the grain with Kane over Haaland. It's also could be just our own feeling, just like. Some people before when they predicted Martinelli last year to do well and he did really well, a couple of games later and then everyone got on him. It's kind of things like that. It's just our take. So keep an eye out for that, and we'll probably reference it as well in these videos in the future once they're up and running.
Totally, yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah. So thanks for joining, guys. We'll be doing the same time next week.
Yeah. Cheers.
As always.
Absolutely. I can't believe this. This video is longer than the last one. We tried to cut this one down to be shorter, but I suppose there was a lot going on this week when there's a lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about, and I think what we're doing is we're trying to be consistent and upload once a week, and we're trying to kind of get a lot of the content within one video, which makes the videos a little bit longer. But hopefully you'll stick with us, and hopefully you enjoy the content.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you the same time next week, right, Joel?
Yep. See you next week. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.